I know Kirk Cameron can act because he was doing it before he was a psycho.
Welcome to Movie Pain or Pleasure Podcast, the show that has lost faith in humanity and life itself. Hi, I'm your co-host Melanie Gibson, and for this movie, I am drinking Crackberry, a cider made down the road in Dallas, Texas, a hard cider that contains cranberries, blackberries, apples, and crack. There's a little asterisk by crack. It doesn't really contain crack. But I'm drinking this fruity alcoholic beverage because we're talking about the most cracked out, cuckoo bananas, batshit crazy movie I've ever seen in my life. We'll talk about it in a minute. I'll let my illustrious co-host introduce himself.
I really don't like that word. Illustrious is a terrible word. I'm not a carpet.
Is dick face better?
No, but I'm not a carpet. So I feel like that's for interior decorating type.
Then introduce yourself.
We're not sponsored by Crackberry.
We're not sponsored by anybody.
I just don't want Crackberry to be like, these fuckers, and we're suing the shit out of them.
They have their product is called Crackberry.
Okay, fine, we're sponsored by Crackberry.
Tonight I'm going to be fueled by Crackberry and the mood stabilizer I just took after dinner. This is AJ Wall. What movie are we talking about?
A movie made by a narcissist. A man who is his own god. Kirk Cameron.
Kirk Cameron's Saving Christmas. The most wacky, gaslighting, crazy-ass movie I've ever seen in my life. And I know from crazy. Look, I'm not hating on mental illness. I'm wearing a shirt that says mental wealth. I have 4 mental illnesses, 5 if you count the acute PTSD I had diagnosed at the beginning of 2021, which was not a good year for me. So I know from crazy. And this movie is just one long, manic episode.
It's an artistic crime, which is why I'm wearing a Batman t-shirt.
Oh, and I dated a gaslighting narcissist for 2 years, and I felt more gaslit watching this movie than I did in those 2 years in that awful relationship. So
it does in fact tell you how to think quite an awful lot.
Quite often. Okay, so let's talk about Kirk Cameron's Saving Christmas. Now, Kirk Cameron was on Growing Pains, a sitcom in the 80s, and then he turned into a big proselytizer, which if you are a Christian, whatever religion, that is your thing. I respect that. I don't respect pushing it down people's throats and acting like you're better than other people because you believe in a certain thing.
Especially if you're a convert.
Oh, convert, and I'm saying this is a kind of a lapsed Catholic. Converts to any religion are the worst, especially the converted Catholics. They think they know everything. So let's talk about Saving Christmas, which is also known as Kirk Cameron's Saving Christmas. Now, the poster for this, and we'll put it on Instagram, and maybe AJ can put in a shot later when the edited YouTube video. It's Kirk Cameron with like all the Christmas shit. A candy cane, a Santa Claus hat, $100 bills flying through the air like it's a strip club in Vegas. So that gives you a little taste of what it is. So it's
Strip Club of God.
Strip Club of the Pearly Gates. So this is a 2014 American faith-based Christmas comedy film. That's a mouthful. That's what she said. It was directed by Darren Doan and written by Darren Doan and Cheston Hervey, based on an original story.
It looks like that.
Yeah, AJ's holding up the poster.
Sorry, people, that's the worst way for me to do it, but there you go.
Yeah, we'll put a photo on Instagram later at Movie Pain or Pleasure Podcast. It says at Wikipedia here that I'm not going to donate money to. Says it was based on an original story by Kirk Cameron, which was probably just him ranting that the Walmart cashier that was exhausted at the end of their shift didn't say Merry Christmas to him.
Yeah, there's not really a story here.
Not really.
It's not even a full, like, I think I wrote in my notes, 80 minutes. It's not even 80 minutes. I think it's like 72.
That's like less than a Disney movie from the 70s.
And 10 minutes of it is a dance party. And
yeah.
I don't mean like it's filmed in and around a dance party. I mean like they stopped to have one.
Yeah, we'll talk about that when we get to it. So a little more about this movie. It was theatrically released, if you can believe it, by Samuel Goldwyn Films on November 14th, 2014. So a little bit more about this movie.
Who happened to have been the people who made the last movie we talked about, which we liked.
And that was
Fighting Preacher.
The Fighting Preacher. That movie's awesome. So, the film received a 0% rating on Rotten Tomatoes. It was nominated in 6 categories for the 35th Golden Raspberry Awards and won 4, including Worst Picture. Also, the worst combo was Kirk Cameron and his ego. It won in that category. It also became the lowest rated film on the IMDb Bottom 100 list within 1 month of its theatrical release, and is now considered one of the worst films of all time. A little bit more. Despite being panned by professional critics, Cameron is convinced that his film's low rating from IMDb users is the result of haters, pagans, and an atheist conspiracy that was allegedly hatched on Reddit. Now, the only conspiracy hatched on Reddit that actually worked was the GameStop stock short. I don't think people hatched a conspiracy to bring down this glorious film's Rotten Tomatoes rating.
Even so, that wouldn't make sense, because how would it only get a 0 if it was a... Like, people would still enjoy it and just be muddled out. It would still be like a 5, maybe.
Now, speaking of enjoy, this is definitely a hate watch. We've watched this movie twice now. Once it was on Hulu. Right now, as we speak, it's on Amazon Prime.
If you need to just get something out, turn it on and like pause and yell at TV.
If you need like a cocaine fever dream without doing anything illegal, watch this movie. This was a hate watch for sure, but it was kind of an enjoyable hate watch. I'm glad we didn't have to pay to rent it, because that would be $4 down the toilet. But it was definitely a somewhat enjoyable hate watch, because it's so fucking crazy. It's so fucking bad. God, Jesus Christ, I hate this movie. And this actually made me feel closer to fundamentalist Christians than... I feel like I'm agreeing with them on certain things, and our Venn diagrams do not cross. So anyway, do you want to show a clip, or do you want us to start talking about the movie? I'm going to sip my crackberry so I can really get manic for this manic movie.
Okay, so we have Kirk Cameron on screen right now. I'm hoping we can hear this together. We were just going to jump around in different pieces of the film. We'll talk about the rest of the film. We're not going to show the whole damn thing, because that wouldn't be good.
There's copyright issues, too.
But this is all under fair use, by the way. Fuck you if you're trying to take my shit down. My last 3 videos have been marked for copyright, even though fair use, bitches. So there's an opening to this film. We're just going to play that for a second and let you get, like, the bullshit, wholesome version of what Kirk Cameron wants you to think he is. And hopefully this turned out alright, but...
So glad you're here. I love Christmas. I admit it. I love everything about Christmas time.
That's a lot.
I love the cookies. I love the fire. I love the presents. I love the stockings. I love the tree. I love the fudge.
Santa on Christmas
night.
Lights.
It's a great time for growing out the winter beard. I love everything about it. I love the music. I love the...
Speaking of that beard, his stupid Wolverine-looking beard. It looks ridiculous.
I mean, I'm an Italian-American. I have more facial hair than this guy does.
Like, I mean, his beard is better than mine, but he just leaves this fucking out to his chin line. Like, his cheeks are covered. He looks like the werewolf man. Anyway, back to his bullshit spew.
Carols and the hymns. I love all the kids.
Don't ever say that again, Kirk Cameron. Never again.
All the kids.
I love all the kids. Pause.
Mm-hmm.
Creepily.
And I love the spirit in the air at Christmas time. Wherever you go.
Unless you care about people.
There's something that makes people want to be more kind. At Christmas, they want to be more compassionate, more...
That's good enough for you to get the idea. So he does that for a few minutes.
Yeah, it's a long fireside chat, and it comes off very innocent, like, I just love Christmas time.
Like his kind thing. We'll get around to this, but he specifically doesn't like... This isn't a hate on atheists or agnostics or people. Like, I'm sure he has a problem. But most of this movie is about real Christians who don't like the commercial materialism and are giving him shit. He feels bad about it because he's a pussy. And then he turns around and makes a whole movie about how they're wrong for telling him that he's a materialistic dick.
Yeah, it's strange. It starts out with this fireside chat, And he just goes on about how much he loves all the things about Christmas. Now, I don't want to be like a woke snowflake and be like, well, f you for loving all these symbolism, paganism, blah, 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 bullshit about Christmas. So, you know, I'm trying to take all this with a grain of salt and just think of it as the hilarity that it is. But what he's saying without saying it is the same stuff we hear every year, like, they won't let us say Merry Christmas anymore. There's a war on Christmas. The writing was smart in that they didn't come out and just say, like, there's a war on Christmas. The Democrats want to shut it down. We can't worship Jesus the way we want to anymore. So he never says that, but you definitely get that vibe. Like, but it's very strange. This is how it just gaslights you the whole time. Like, he wants to put the Christ back in Christmas, but he's very much all about Santa Claus and presents and buying stuff. So I'm kind of not sure where he's coming from. And then it starts to play out in the story as he kind of convinces his brother-in-law to see Christmas in a different light. We fail to neglect that this movie is produced by CamFam Studios, which sounds just as porny as Pure Flix.
It's a POV step family.
Oh!
Step family porn site.
No, that's what it sounds like.
CamFam.
Okay, so we go to a modern-day Christmas party.
Well, actually, okay, so the weird thing, this is the one strange thing. Well, there's a lot of strange things. But they open the movie, like, once the movie starts, which, by the way, he doesn't, like, set it up like, this is the story of how dicks happen. It's just...
Our dads listen to this!
Whatever. It's literally just him... I care about Christmas. And then that scene ends, and it goes on into the movie. And the movie starts with this dude just sitting in a barn with a crook. Well, you know,
like a shepherd's crook.
Yeah, that thing you beat people with, apparently, according to this movie. But, and it's just this girl going, he's in town, and this guy is like John Wick, stands up and walks out, and then we don't see him again for like until the middle.
Yeah, that's the cold opening before we go to Kirk Cameron's fireside chat.
It's very out of nowhere, but
yeah, it doesn't make sense.
Oh, and then it has I actually really like this strangely long animated opening that sounds like the Mighty Mighty Boss Tones. If anyone remembers that fucking band,
I do because I'm 42.
I remember it. I really like that one song that everybody heard.
Yeah, so things don't really fit together. Like the opening with this guy in... Oh, there it goes.
That's the Mighty Mighty Boss Tones doing a fucking Christmas song.
Okay, that's enough. I remember the 90s fondly. I don't really care for ska music, even though I really like No Doubt. I don't care for ska. So we go to a Christmas party in a giant house. Worshipping Jesus is doing really well for this family. So everybody in the damn world is in this house, and it is full. You cannot sit down without there being a Christmas decoration or something. So Kirk Cameron is visiting his sister, and it's full of people, full of family and friends. And we discover that her husband, named Christian White, real creative with the names there. Christian is just not feeling it this year. And I feel bad for Christian in many instances in this movie, because she's kind of putting it on him like, oh, he's ruining the party. And like, no, he's not. He's just off pouting somewhere by himself. And he's not like he's, telling people that they need to go or anything.
I wish he was just grabbing children, like, Santa isn't real! Santa isn't real!
No, he's not disrupting the party, but they're already kind of painting Christian out to be somewhat of an antagonist. So he tells his wife that it's commercialism, paganism, and elf worship, which, as much as I like Christmas, I kind of agree with you. It is. I don't really like buying lots of presents for Christmas. I don't have a lot of people to buy presents for, but I don't break my budget or break my bank for the people I love. I'll give a few gifts, and I hope if they want to give me a gift, that they are good stewards with their financial resources too. So yeah, I mean, it is full of porn. Look at the Black Friday nonsense that happens after Thanksgiving. Before we get to Christian, we get some odd side characters. This is what they do with the people of color. The two people of color in this movie. So Christian is off in a different room, and he's kind of sitting there hanging out, And he's an introvert who needs a break. And I totally get that. Even if it's a party at your own house, you might need a break. So he's just saying, like, it's a big slap in the face to the meaning of Christmas, is where is Christ in all of this? His friend DeAndre, I think his name is, a black friend comes up and starts ranting about how they won't let them do Crazy Shirt Fridays at work anymore. And he goes on this tirade, and he says things like, my people have been through enough. We're going to march in the streets. Now, this was before, 2020, so it's pretty tone deaf already.
I wish they had left in the part from their outtakes at the end of the movie, that are some of which are actually kind of funny. And in one of the outtakes, he says, and you look Jewish, I bet your people have had enough too. And I really wish they had left that in there, because it's actually pretty hilarious.
Yeah,
but,
so the one black character they have is just a wacky cartoon character.
I don't know who decided who was gonna act like what, so I don't want to assume, but it feels like the white people got their one black guy, and they're like, hey man, can you be as black as possible? But G-rated? Because even, in one of the other outtakes, they're talking, DeAndre and this other guy who's like a conspiracy nut, that's a very strange... That's a whole thing by itself.
We'll get to that. It's a couple of scenes
confusing.
Later.
But in one of the outtakes, they flub some lines, or they're just throwing them back and forth, and they're gonna clip them later. But the director, Mr. White, you can hear him say, throwing a beatbox on that, and then he makes them beatbox and rap for a good 2 or 3 minutes. This guy doing the rapping, he don't do that. He did it for the director. The director. The guy doing DeAndre, his beatboxing was fine. I mean, it's beatboxing. But, whatever. But, this had heavy vibes of, we gotta find our one black guy, and he's gotta be as much as possible.
Yeah, he's pretty extra. So Christian finally goes out and sits in his car, and Kirk Cameron, comes in to save the day, because he gotta save Christmas. And he's gonna go out and talk to this grumpy Grinch. And Christian is really having a dark night of the soul. And he's saying things like, this can't be what God wants. And it's kind of funny. He just deadpan says, I've got a snow globe of the nativity. Snow falls on baby Jesus. So do you want to play a clip of any of this?
Okay. So I just remembered another thing about the way this whole movie is shot. It's like a horror movie.
A big slap in the face to the true meaning of Christmas.
The way he sees children.
I mean, that's how I feel when I see children.
My man, Christian, how you doing?
Then DeAndre comes
enters.
In. Yeah, so he's looking around, and Christian is, and this is Kirk Cameron kind of snarkily saying, he thinks it's all about commercialism, and the meaning of Jesus has been washed away by elf worship and reindeer, and I'm like, it kind of has, though.
It
kind of has, though.
Who's... Other than the parents taking their kids to mass or whatever,
and I make fun of the people who lose the over Starbucks having a red cup or something, whatever that was about. But I'm actually on Christian's side with this, are we kind of losing sight of what is a holy holiday for a certain set of people who believe in this? We're losing that meaning in favor of decorating our house with all kinds of tacky crap and spending money we may not have on a bunch of stuff that people won't really be interested in a month from now. He makes some good points. So Christian is sitting in his car, and Kirk Cameron comes in, and the best gaslighting I think I've ever seen starts to take place.
He already knows he's uncomfortable, but he just has to insert himself.
That's what she said.
I was wondering where you were. Just, take a break.
So get the out of the car. That's what that means.
You okay? Yeah. It just gets noisy.
The noise.
Also, this guy who's the director, he's playing white, whatever, Christian.
Christian.
Driving home today.
Obviously, he's the director because he pauses for so fucking long between sentences.
I'm driving by a store and I see.
If you guys can't hear anything at all, just let us know, by the way, in the chat.
It's a little
Yeah.
girl and her mom. The little girl's got this look on her face like.
And in some of these scenes, he actually sounds kind of funny. Like, he sounds like...
He sounds
this-
like Louis C.K.
It sounds like this could be done by somebody else, but this guy is terrible.
Deep in the corner, just stuck in the corner, will be a little snow globe, a little nativity scene, little baby Jesus. We stick it somewhere in the corner. Don't really see it, and it's a trinket. While a big old Christmas tree just look at on the big tree, on the big center, on the big centerpiece of all of Christmas, and Santa's over there and over here. No, let's just put Jesus in the corner. Just put him right there, and put a little glass thing around him. Shake it upside down. It's winter. Snow falls all over baby Jesus.
That shit's actually really funny.
That's pretty funny. So he's
put baby Jesus in a bottle.
So he's having a crisis of faith, and he's saying, where is the biblical basis for things like the Christmas tree, things like, we'll get into that later, but there's a thing about a Christmas tree and candy canes and nutcrackers and all these symbolisms of Christmas. I'm losing sight of Christ.
Actually, he doesn't bring up the nutcrackers. It just so happens that Kirk thinks nutcrackers are Herod's
representatives of the soldiers of Herod who are out to kill all the firstborn baby sons. It gets that wacky, so let's move this along. So, shall we play a little more, or do you want me to just talk about it?
Go ahead and explain a little bit before I...
So, short of finding the actual clip where the gaslighting begins, Christian says, this feels all wrong. And Kirk says, no, you're all wrong!
My God, he's like, yeah, you know, you're right. It is all wrong. He's like, see? You're on my side. And he's like, no. You're wrong. Like, what? You. Everything about you and your stupid face and your sweater and your fucking glasses, you're wrong.
Here's what he actually says. It's all about Jesus and you're spoiling the whole thing. Kirk Cameron says this to his brother-in-law, who's probably a very nice man who loves Jesus and is searching for the real meaning of Christmas.
Now,
that feels like when my gaslighting ex-boyfriend complained that I gained weight and said that I must have lost weight on purpose in order to snag a boyfriend, and then I purposely gained weight again.
now,
I'm having flashbacks.
insert someone who's having a panic or anxiety attack from being around this many people, and he goes off to be by himself, and one of his friends comes over to tell him, you're ruining this whole party.
Yeah! This guy.
He ran off to be by himself, you fucking
Okay,
sucker.
let me see if I... Alright, you go ahead.
To me,
Let's see.
when I walk into that Christmas party, which is going on all over the world,
All over.
explain to me how that Christmas party honors and glorifies Jesus. Because I'm not seeing it. Where do I start?
Thank you.
Let's start with your snow globe. The nativity.
I'll give you a little bit of this, and then
I want you to visualize this. Just close your eyes.
we won't subject you to all of it.
Visualize this.
Okay, right. I'll play. I see it.
A baby is born. If you had to pick one valuable thing in all of the decorations around your house at Christmas time, it would probably be your nativity scene.
Okay, pause.
And then it gets to that weird thing where
He thinks... Yeah. I'll explain it. So, you think it's going to go in that church like, yes, the nativity, that's where Jesus is. But he goes on this long associative tirade of cloth. So, all right. Jesus was wrapped in cloth, a swaddling baby. That's when I first learned the term swaddling, was in my catechism, learning about the baby Jesus. And that also represents the cloth that he was wrapped in the tomb. So really, and also the manger was really probably in a cave, kind of like the tomb where Jesus was. So really, if you think about it, kind of, the swaddling wraps that were around baby Jesus really symbolize the cloths that were going to be wrapped around his corpse after he was crucified for our sins.
It's almost
so
weirder than that.
really, when you think about it, the Nativity is glorifying the resurrection of Jesus. You just don't see it, Christian.
It's even weirder than that, because he almost says it as if this is literally the same cloth. Like
his mom just carried it around like, oh, we're going to wrap this around your body when you're crucified. Your dad said so.
Jesus is now Superman. You know, Superman was, like, sent to Earth with his, like, it was a blanket or something, and it became his cape. That's Jesus and his swaddling they used to sit in.
What if Jesus wore his swaddling cloth as a cape, like a superhero cape?
Did Jesus dream or play like being superhero? Like, I'm Isaac and you're the snake in the garden.
Or did he pretend to be like a Roman soldier? Because that's what all the little boys would see.
Maybe he played Moses and he made his cousin play Ramesses.
Maybe.
Instead of, like, Superman and Lex Luthor.
If you want the real story of the childhood of Jesus, read Lamb by Christopher Moore. So, anyway. So, somehow, he's convinced, and then we go back to poor Christian. He's like, oh, yes, I see it all along.
I never thought of it like that.
I never thought of it like that. Okay, and this is where I figured out. I bet Kirk Cameron's character could talk Christian into jerking him off in, like, a non-consensual way, unfortunately. So, like, he's just dumb enough, and Kirk Cameron is just slimy enough that he could talk him into doing some things that he really doesn't want to do.
Well, you know, man, I was enlightened by doing something for another enlightened Christian. So, I mean, if you want to be enlightened like me, you just gotta do something for me.
I mean, you believe in brotherly love, don't you?
Oh, God. I mean, we're like family. It doesn't even matter.
Yeah. Nothing wrong with men doing consensual things with each other, but it seems like Kirk Cameron would talk his brother-in-law into doing some things he wouldn't want to do.
So basically, earlier he had said, like, that spiel that's going around about how this is that and that is this, you fell for it. It's like, what? Like, yeah, you fell for it. So it's a lie. Basically, he's being like, all that bullshit about how this is a pagan thing, and Jesus was born in July, which he never addresses. There's a ton of it he never addresses. He just talks about the nativity. And he still never explains why it's stuck in the fucking corner.
Yeah, he goes off on a tangent and just was like, well, the pagans have you believing that...
The nativity is even more important than you think. Then why is it still in the corner?
It is important because it shows the birth of the baby Jesus. Okay, moving on. So we cut to the scene in the party, and we get our two ancillary characters, DeAndre, and I forget the other guy's name, but there's this really weird conspiracy nut guy.
Oh, he looks like an ethnic David Cross. Is that it?
Kind of, yeah. And he holds a cup in front of his face. It's like, hey, brother, I got some things to tell you. And he goes, we'll play some of the rant
I remembered this wrong, because the first time I thought he did this the entire movie, but he doesn't. He does start by talking normally. And he's like, hey, man, there's microphones and cameras everywhere.
The Illuminati's listening.
Cups up. And
I don't understand. I think they just had to fill time with this movie.
I'm really confused, because this guy's a conspiracy nut. But he says things that I've heard the Christians like Kirk Cameron say, so I don't know if they're trying to like poke fun at them or hold them up.
Because he ends his rant by saying, well, it's all on Fox News. I mean...
so wait.
But...
So are you saying Fox News is full of shit, and this is why you're showing this ridiculous character? Or are you...
I feel
trying to poke fun at yourselves? I really don't know.
I feel like a movie with Kirk Cameron would have like a TV with Fox News playing in the background.
It's painful how confusing the thought process is.
That's the gaslighting.
Now that we're watching all these and now that we know, like, okay, well, this one was funded by this guy and he has a specific role. Now I'm wondering, like, what's the point of the direction? What's the point of the acting? What's the point of the writing? There's something hidden behind each step.
That's what gaslighting does. Makes you question reality, makes you think you're crazy. So let's listen to some of this rant.
It's so insane.
I think you might need to skip a little bit.
Man, DeAndre, what's happening?
Not much. It'll be there.
You get that memo? Oh, you know I got that memo. It's not a laughing matter, though, man. You know what's really going on here?
Music.
Yes. No, I don't. 3 words. War on Christmas.
So War on Christmas, that's how he starts. That's the entire point of the beginning, which is exactly what Kirk believes.
Although he never says it.
But then it goes into this insane tirade. So...
I think it would be in our best interest before we go any further. You gotta be really careful. You never know who's listening or watching.
He turns a little Santa doll around.
Alright, check this out. We gotta go on the offensive. It's like the rapper Sugar Free said, if you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready. They're already taking away our freedom of speech. I can't say Merry Christmas at work no more. I have to say Happy Holidays, but I am not in the days. I am wide awake. It's deeper than that, though. You heard about Area 51? What about Area 52? That's where they're keeping all the mangers and trees and nativity scenes they keep taking down. Speaking of down, you know why the Pope really stepped down? Da Vinci Code, right? Wrong. There's a whole Picasso Code. She's still working on that one. Come on, man. They got fluoride in our water.
So, and then it goes on again. There's another rant. That makes me laugh so much. He was probably sipping some of this crackberry, like what I'm drinking.
There's fluoride in the water. So he...
Fluoride in the water is good for your teeth.
There's a little bit of Alex Jones in there. And just fucking... So they're gathering all the mangers and sticking them in Area 52? Like...
I guess so.
I don't understand.
Is he gonna eat his neighbor like corn on the cob?
Maybe this is like a defense mechanism. Like Kirk Cameron was like, well, I don't want them calling me like this type of Christian, so I'm gonna make fun of that type of Christian in my movie. And then I... by turn, will seem logical.
Yeah, he's not one of those crazy Fox News watching Christians. Oh, I think you stopped. Can you play it just a little bit longer? Because there's something about the fluoride in the water.
I'm saying that's gotta cause at least Asperger's. Speaking of burgers, you probably...
Oh my god! So, the fluoride in the water causes Asperger's.
That's gotta at least cause Asperger's.
I mean, the vaccines cause autism, so...
Speaking of Asperger's...
Oh,
I was surprised they would pull a trigger on something like that. Like, that's actually edgy enough to be in a real movie.
yeah. Okay, let's go back to Christian having his dark night of the soul, and Kirk Cameron, his brother-in-law, who's probably talked him into at least rubbing his dick over the pants at this point. Let's go back to that. So now...
It's like, oh man, I got a Charlie horse. Just rub my leg.
Just a little bit higher, just a little bit
like,
higher.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Christian's like, but what about Christmas trees? That seems so like Celt. And Kirk Cameron's like, oh, you're probably thinking of the Druids. So he plays right into it. And is like, the whole story of the Bible starts in a tree lot. The goddamn Garden of Eden. He's talking about the Garden of Eden.
He literally says that even if it did have a pagan thing,
God wanted it that way because he invented trees.
Trees are made by God, therefore they should be in the home for the decoration of Jesus.
You know what else is made by God?
Cocaine?
No.
Weed?
Yes, marijuana is made by God and therefore should be legal.
So is cocaine, though.
Well, the coca, but then it's processed.
But it's still...
Marijuana's natural, man. It's from the earth.
Whatever.
What do they do?
I make my kids wait at the top of the staircase. I don't let them come down the stairs until my wife and I get everything ready at the tree. And the anticipation builds, and they run down the stairs when I tell them they can. And they run out to the tree, and they
The shitty take.
just are blown away by all the presents sitting at the base of the tree.
I don't understand, like, this Jethro Tull music playing in the background.
Right.
Druids.
Druids.
You can look this up. This is all history. So, where, I ask again, where are Christmas trees in the Bible?
I'm glad you asked.
I'll close my eyes again. Here I go. I'm waiting. Okay. What's the chapter? What's the verse? You have a weird, obscure verse in Numbers. Where am I going? Where do I start in the Bible? Christmas trees. I'm waiting. Where do I go? I'm glad my sister married you. This is awesome.
The fucking dick-face sarcasm.
He's such
a
Thank you. That was the exact word I was going to use. I'm going to have to edit it out for the podcast because I think we can say fuck on the podcast. I don't think we can say cunt. But Kirk Cameron is so cunty in this.
You, sir, are the biggest cuntmas of them all. Like,
very good.
By the way,
God.
this is a random thing. Earlier in the film...
Keep this in the video, but then like put little noises over it when we say that.
Earlier in the film... when he was talking to his sister and all this began, he was like, oh, what is he doing? Do you need me to take him outside? I'll break his legs or some shit like that. Fuck you, Kirk Cameron. I challenge you to a kickboxing match, just like I did David A.R. White, who, by the way, hasn't said anything yet, so...
We're waiting,
I guess
bro.
he's scared. I didn't say anything about the guy in the Fighting Preacher, because I respect that man, and he can box, so... Obviously, I don't want to fight him.
He's the toughest guy in Palmyra.
Yeah, but Kirk Cameron.
Kirk Cameron, your spare parts, bud.
If you lose, you have to admit you're not a real Christian. And if I lose, I'll admit whatever, because it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. But anyway, we shall continue.
Bro, look at me.
Bro.
Where are we going in the Bible? Genesis.
Okay, pause. And then it just goes straight to his tree lot.
What is that? Bing bong, bing bong, bing bong. The music is insane.
Genesis,
also,
yeah.
Every scene, it sounds like a different style. Just like we had the Boss Tones and Jethro Tull and whatever.
You said something about if God created trees.
Oh, yeah. But God made anglerfish, you stupid bitch. Like,
so should we have anglerfish at Christmas time?
Fuck yeah.
Oh God.
I want to scare the fuck out of some kids.
Some anglerfish ornaments. It's all part of God's beautiful creation.
Like the Kraken. What about that? Like,
so
God made the devil, so the devil's cool too.
Yeah. And as we learned in God's Not Dead, sometimes the devil gives you great things, so hail Satan. So anyway, Kirk's explanation for the Christmas tree is, again, just a labyrinth of reasons and all of that. And so he says that, really, a Christmas tree is inside a house because the earth is God's house. It's the temple, so really the tree's inside. So if you think about it, really.
He literally refers...
That's why we have trees inside the house.
He refers to a ceiling, but he doesn't say what the fuck that is.
It's the sky.
But he doesn't say it. He just like, there's walls and a ceiling, and you're supposed to know what those are. But the walls are made out of fucking wood, you piece of shit, so...
And he also said, God made the winter solstice, so don't believe those druids. Don't believe those pagans and those Wiccans and...
Well, what's more God than what God created?
And here we go. It gets even crazier. So, I have in big letters, the gaslighting. Adam stole the fruit off of a tree. He didn't blame Eve for once, as the whole world has. And
he did that on purpose.
Yeah.
He thought of that.
So the feminists would be happy, I guess. So... Adam stole the fruit. That was original sin. As a Catholic, I learned that as a little bitty baby, I was born with original sin. And so God has to replace that part of him on the tree. And that was the sacrifice. Jesus was the last Adam. And so he hung himself on a fucking tree like an ornament. So every time you see a Christmas tree, Kirk Cameron says, I want you to see an empty cross. The cross is it? Look, I got a crucifix on my wall. Let's see if I can angle it. Apparently, that crucifix I have up on my wall is a Christmas tree, and Jesus is an ornament hanging off of it.
Jesus hung himself on a tree.
Yeah, Jesus did it himself.
The amount of leaps and bounds you gotta get through. Fuck.
Yeah, let's see if you can find another clip.
Fucking... He didn't hang himself on a tree. It's a chunk of wood that they stapled him to. with the big, with those big electric staple guns.
No!
Like,
No!
he stapled his ass to the tree.
No! Don't talk about Jesus like that! Okay, find another clip for us to listen to. I need some more of my crackberry. So yeah, every time you see a Christmas tree, it's really an empty cross. See how Kirk Cameron brought Christ back into Christmas?
This might be it.
You guys really should. We're not doing it justice.
Watch this instead.
But you have to watch it on Amazon Prime.
And cloth. And why is he bringing the cloth?
Fucking cloth.
To wrap the body of our crucified Savior, Jesus, put to death on a tree. The Bible begins with trees. Adam stole the fruit from God's tree and ate it. The fruit that the first Adam stole was put back on the tree by the last Adam when he himself hung on a wooden cross.
You know how when you eat from the tree of life or knowledge or bullshit, and it's just so filled with fiber and protein that you...
Fiber and protein?
Yeah,
wow.
and fucking carbs.
So is it like a keto fruit?
It's got everything in it.
Wow.
It's so nutritious that you don't digest it for like 40 fucking generations.
So you don't poop?
So Jesus still has some of that fruit just rolling around in his fucking small intestine.
So we have generations of constipated people from this fibrous fruit.
Yeah. He literally said that, Adam couldn't give back the fruit because...
What's he gonna do?
It's inside of it.
Is he gonna poop it out and hang the poop on the tree?
He should have shit at the base of the tree.
Here's your fruit.
I
didn't see how we were gonna bring poop into the Bible, but we did.
I don't...
That's gonna be the opening quote for the podcast. Okay, so
that's the meaning of the... And every time he fucking gives him the meaning, he ends with, like, first Christian's like, oh, I never thought of it like that, even though that didn't explain anything. He was just debating.
I never thought of it like that either, because it's so fucking crazy. And I have bipolar disorder, and this is crazier than I am.
But then the worst part is that every time Kirk says, me neither. That's why I told you. So what are you fucking telling me that you had this dilemma and some other jackass told you all these things?
And then you jerked him off and now you're completing the circle?
Or am I supposed to think that you were just filled with the light of God and it came out in this bullshit reason right when you needed the answers?
I feel like he probably is like many people of old who have passed along the word of God who just, they made up a bunch of bullshit and they looked around and they're like, oh, these people are buying it.
If this happened to me.
Thus saith the gospel of the Lord.
If somebody asked me like, hey man, I wonder how this works, and it's like some engineering shit, I have no idea, and I just start spewing out fucking facts like, oh, well you see, based on the weight balance of this and the angle of this, if you just do X, Y, and Z and we get enough material made out of this tension, and I could answer all that perfectly, and then I realized what I just did and I didn't know that before, I'd be like, what the shit?
It's like when the scarecrow gets his diploma and he's like, the hypotenuse of a blah 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 blah.
And even the fucking scarecrow goes like,
huh. I didn't know that.
What?
So, Kirk Cameron, why are you saying you didn't know that before if you just explained to this guy, if you just this is the most mansplaining thing I've ever seen. Aha! And this brings us to the other part. What about Santa Claus?
Well, actually, Santa was based on Saint Nicholas, who happens to be a Turkish bishop or some bullshit.
Bishop, yeah.
Some made-up thing. and he went to the convent of Nicaea.
Which is where we get the Nicene Creed, which I can probably still recite, but I won't.
And he was world-renowned because he was so nice and giving. He was known for giving presents to children and And this one time, they had a conversation about if God was truly the father of Jesus or if Jesus was just a prophet. And this dude was like, I'm going to beat the out of everybody in here who doesn't believe that Jesus is the Son of God. If you don't like it, I'm going to keep beating the shit out of you. And they're like, okay, we banned that guy. And then everybody in the town was like, oh, f*** you, put him back in. And they're like, okay, we'll take him back.
So was the whatever at Nicaea, was that like UFC 1 when St. Nicholas shows up?
With a crook. It's probably more like everybody, I think, by now probably knows that story of, is it Thomas Adams or one of the presidents that, like, beat people with a fucking cane?
Oh, God.
Like, he got in a fight with somebody in Congress and, like, jumped over a table and beat him with a cane. It's like that.
Okay.
Let's see if this is a good point.
He knows if you've been good or bad, so be good for goodness sake.
Omniscience, omnipresence.
He rewards the good and he punishes the bad.
Right. Last I checked, that was God. And by the way, this is works-based. Last I checked, saved by grace. This is a complete hijacking. This is a hijacking, high-handed, hijacking, handedness, jacking. It's like
all that jacking. He just so obsessed with jacking.
No, but I mean, there's a part of me that kind of agrees with Christian here, is that if you believe in the divinity of Jesus, then we are saved by the grace of God. What he's saying with Santa is the rewards are works-based. So, you do good works in order to get the reward. Whereas if you believe in the sanctity of Jesus, you've already gotten your reward. Jesus' sacrifice was the reward. If you believe, then that will be your reward in heaven.
Yeah, all that.
And there's part of me that, I guess once a Catholic, always a Catholic. I can't unbelieve some of this stuff. There's a part of me that kind of agrees with that. I'm like, yeah, I think you should do good works whether or not you're afraid of a sky daddy or not.
Like, I'm totally cool with secular Christmas. Like, I know that there are people who aren't of any religion, who people are part of different religions, like totally opposite religions. And they still like, yeah, Christmas is a cool thing. It's a reason to get together.
It's
we
fun.
got time off.
Yeah.
We'll get each other gifts and we'll have this fat dude come around and let us sit on his lap. And
if I moved to Canada, I would probably celebrate both Canadian Thanksgiving and American Thanksgiving because that's my favorite holiday.
So I'm totally cool with that, but part of me does think, like, if you're a true Christian or whatever, that some part of this should actually be about what it's about, which is supposed to be Jesus. And Jesus was a hippie communist.
Yeah, he was a socialist. He wanted to heal the sick and feed the hungry, and they didn't have to pay a dime for it.
He was very immaterial.
Yeah.
Immaterial, not material. Which, later, Kirk literally says Jesus was material, and that's why we should celebrate with material goods.
That makes me want to go back to church. So we'll get to that.
Anyway.
But, I mean, he goes back to, like, this is all symbolizing the death of Jesus. Well, we have a holiday for that, and it's called Easter. The death and the resurrection of Jesus. Okay, let's talk about Santa Claus.
So we have this terrifying thing.
Let me tell you about the real Santa Claus.
Let's tell you about the real Santa Claus.
Santa Claus.
The real Santa Claus was a real bad dude. And when I say bad, I mean bad in the good way.
He was some kind of
How
dude.
fucking old are you that you have to explain that?
I mean, like, bad, like Michael Jackson's bad.
Like, he only had to say that because he couldn't Samuel L. Jackson it and say...
He was a bad motherfucker.
Bad motherfucker. Like, he couldn't do that, so...
Jesus is like, throw me up that loincloth, the one that says bad motherfucker on it.
I bet Jesus would love to be called a bad motherfucker. He was whipping people out of the temple and whatnot. This dude definitely wants to be called a bad motherfucker. It's like, yeah, I care about people, but I'll whip your ass.
Oh, St. Nicholas?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's a bad motherfucker.
And they just hold him
Christian,
on screen.
You want Christmas to be all about Jesus? You think you're fighting the good fight by scowling at decorations and scoffing at presents?
So if you're just listening to the podcast, you really need to watch this movie. So right now, as Kirk is proselytizing and talking bullshit, there's an image of just modern-day Santa Claus, and he's, like, grinning and holding up a fist like he's gonna punch the crap out of somebody.
Like he's gonna fist Christian right now for not believing in him. He's like, I am the real Christ.
Fist you into loving Christmas.
I am the real Christ.
Okay, let's keep going. Oh.
So, I'll just jump ahead a little bit, because that's... Oh, and he cracks his knuckles, and he does all this
He's the toughest guy in Letterkenny.
This is when we get back to that, that girl comes and tells Nicholas, like, hey, he's in town, and you don't know who he is. But
it's the same actor who plays the conspiracy theories.
I actually
guy.
like that.
Yeah.
But as they talk, this is the man that was arguing about, well, Jesus is just a prophet. He's not the son of God.
Yeah,
He's
not
divine. And this dude, I guess he was like, oh, he's in town? Well, I'll just pay him a nice visit. Like the Hound from Game of Thrones.
Oh.
Without Nicholas and a fight. He was a real man who fought for a real truth against a real enemy of the faith.
That was slow-mo. And some dubstep is coming.
Yeah.
Just a warning.
So he's walking in.
Leading the charge in this heresy was a bishop named Arius.
Fuck you, Arius. I just had a realization.
Maybe let's clear Arius' side of the story.
Yeah, no, I'm just in the moment. So I just had a realization. If the flashing lights that are prone to causing people seizures...
Oh, I thought you were going to be like the flashlights, the Kanye West song.
This is super random. This has nothing to do with fucking anything. But if the flashing lights that cause seizures were a type of music, they'd be dubstep.
And by the way, before we play our clip, we want to be sensitive to people who may be watching this. Does this include flashing lights and stuff?
I don't think so.
Okay, so this should be okay.
I'm not here to babysit you seizure people.
Hey!
He was known as a
crazy,
charismatic and compelling speaker. He was traveling from region to region, spreading his heresy like a plague, saying that Jesus was less than God.
Where's DeAndre?
Yeah, DeAndre's in it.
Nicholas had heard enough of Arius' babbling. He would be the shepherd that protects his sheep from the wolves.
How's a wolf? God. Wait for it.
Wait for it.
In the beginning was the Word,
This is St. Nicholas talking.
and the Word was with God. And the Word was God.
Official record says that at a critical moment during the council, Nicholas put the heretic Arius to shame, not only by word, but also by deed, smiting him on the cheek.
He's not just smiting me, he's beating the ever-living fuck out of this guy.
It looks terrifying. Look
You can see like his feet being dragged on the ground. He's dragging him outside.
Now,
Saint Nicholas.
He's bringing his crook up like he's gonna bash it down on him.
Saint Nicholas is a slasher.
Yeah. Saint Nicholas is gonna beat this guy to death.
He could hang out with Michael Myers and shit.
Now, okay. Is he the only one who killed somebody for not believing in Jesus?
Except for Michael Myers is a Jew, so.
Wait, what?
I don't know.
Does it matter if he's Jewish?
No, I'm just saying I don't think St. Nicholas would hang out with Michael Myers because he's Jewish. And he's, obviously, he hates people that don't believe in Jesus, I guess.
I'm confused. I thought maybe it's the crackberry talking. Okay, so that's the last kind of big gaslighty thing. So we had the things about the cloth, the tree being the cross, and Jesus being a big old ornament.
Oh, I wish I could pinpoint it next time we do this. I'll try to write down exact timestamps. He literally refers to leaves when he's talking about trees in the home, and they're fucking pines. They have needles.
They don't have leaves.
This stupid bastard doesn't even know that.
He's pissing on me and telling me it's raining. Okay,
Oh,
so now we get back, and Christian is just like, oh my god, I'm the jerk. And I'm like, oh no, honey. Oh, you've been gaslit. Oh, baby girl, I know exactly how you feel. When you're questioning reality, he's like, oh, you don't need to apologize. He's like, I'm that guy that ruins everything. So then Christian is enlightened, and he comes into the party.
He doesn't just come into the party. He, like, blows the doors wide open, which looks terrifying. There's a light right behind him that looks like car headlights. I don't know why.
Which is weird. Like, why do you have your headlights on? You're going to run the car back.
And it's right in front of your house.
Right in front of the door.
Why is it pointed? Like, you were about to drive that thing through your wall, weren't you? And
maybe it was a security light or something.
And DeAndre is like, oh, someone's about to have a moment. They made this man for no fucking reason.
The scales are falling off of his eyes. Hallelujah. And I'm like, can you not? So we have to show when Christian makes his grand entrance into the house.
Kirk looks like his fallen angel or whatever you call it, or his guardian
angel. It's like he's
angel.
creeping up on the side and like, yes, do my bidding.
He's like, I believe in you. He's like Peter Pan. I believe you, Peter.
No, it was Tinkerbell. I believe in fairies. You need to claps. Tinkerbell doesn't die.
No, the kids that were like...
Oh, and Hook. Okay, here he is. So Christian looks, and then everybody's right there.
Whoa! Looks like somebody's having a moment.
What is that? Why?
So he's taking it all in.
So take it all in.
Yep.
All the glory of Christmas.
Take all that glory inside you.
Take every inch of that glory.
Oh, it's so creepy sounding.
Okay, let's just play it and show Christian's entrance. And show the cross and creepy St. Nicholas.
Now see Christmas through new eyes.
Oh. No. Through new eyes.
And so it's this slow-mo running.
Which, if anyone did this...
This would be terrifying.
Wouldn't you, like, run the out of the room?
Yes! And he slides on his man boobs across the floor.
This man has a very unflattering sweater on, by the way.
And bonks his head into the presents.
Why is this representation of...
Because...
This is your representation of I have seen the light.
This is like his Damascus moment. So speaking of the presents, it continues. The cuckoo bananas, crazy stuff continues. Kirk Cameron tells us, really, if you look at the presents under the tree, because we assume that everybody has lots and lots of boxes under their Christmas tree, you will see the city skyline of the New Jerusalem that the Lord has promised us.
Why would there be a city skyline, that of which looks like f***ing New York, in the New Jerusalem? Why? And why would your brain think of that?
You know,
he's saying it like this should be a thing that you would obviously think of. Why the f***
You know what this is? This is the taming of the shrew. Because... in the Shakespeare play...
This son of a bitch isn't taming my shrew.
he's taming Christian's shrew. So, you know, Catherine's a very outspoken woman, and Patricio kind of gaslights her into submitting to him and, like, believing that, you know, if he says the sky is green, then she'll believe the sky is green. And so this is what Kirk Cameron has done to this Christian guy, is tamed his shrew and made him believe that... the Christmas tree is a cross, and the presents are the skyline of the New Jerusalem that we'll see in the kingdom of heaven, and something about cloth, like the nativity snow globe is fine. And look, okay, I want to just like break the fourth wall and say, look, I don't want to be like a woke Karen throwing a hissy fit over somebody wanting to celebrate Christmas. You can celebrate Christmas all you want. I intend to celebrate Christmas. It's just, it's such a weird angle with this movie to be like from a super Christian guy saying, oh no, you got it all wrong. Christmas is all about commercialism and it's biblically based.
We're not bitching at you loving Christmas. Everybody likes Christmas.
You can love Christmas, you can love Jesus.
We just watched Miracle on 34th Street. And it almost made me feel like Christmas was real again.
I know, I wanted to believe in Santa Claus.
Like, everybody loves Christmas. But we are going to make fun of you for being a bitch. You and Joel Osteen and every other fucking Christian pastor that has, like, I know he's not a pastor, but still, he's in this echelon of people.
The prosperity gospel stuff.
All the prosperity people that have all these churches and they have planes so they can hear God in the sky and they don't do shit for anybody but themselves. That's Kirk Cameron, and he's being a little bitch because people were like, hey, Kirk Cameron, you're a bastard for being so greedy and being materialistic and
And really...
And he decided to make a whole film, and he had to write characters stupid on purpose just so he could win the argument.
Yeah.
Just so he could win the argument!
And what does he say about Jesus? About how materialism is good.
Jesus was material.
Jesus became flesh. He became of the material world.
So we should go out and celebrate Jesus by buying the new fucking Xbox.
I mean, and buying presents is fine. I bought you a present. I bought my family presents. And he also makes a snide little comment about being good stewards of your resources, which is kind of a biblical concept. You do want to be a good steward of your financial resources. You don't have to be a Christian to believe that. So...
Yeah, they never talk about the wells they could have built. They never talk about that at all. Christian specifically asked about why we don't do more about being charitable to those who are poor, and they never address it.
No.
He just like holds the keys of baby Jesus in front of him and like, this is the clock of baby Jesus.
I mean, what he could have done is like, yes, we can have a Christmas tree and Santa Claus and a big meal and presents, and we can also go out and help people who are less fortunate than us, which is what Jesus would have done.
Just do both. In fact, hey, guess what? You're going to hell, Kirk.
I mean, we're going right along with him.
Yeah, well, we're going for being dicks. He's going because he's rich, and the rich don't get into heaven, bitch.
But what if I want to be rich?
He's rich like you're never gonna be.
Aw.
Like,
but I might be. You never know, this podcast could take off. Okay, we're still not at the end of the movie.
Speaking of which, follow, subscribe, chat, comment, other words.
Join our cult, be my victim. Okay, so the last part is Christian comes up to his wife and he's like, sorry, hon, I've been looking at Christmas all the wrong way. I want to do something special. And she looks up at him and she goes, what you have in mind, Big Papa? And he... with a straight... He's already gotten his nut off with Kirk Cameron in the car. So he looks at her and he goes, a hip-hop dance party. And they have the longest white people hip-hop dance sequence.
He thinks it's like an inside joke because he's like... I know that sounds crazy, but no, I mean it. Like, I got a whole crew.
Really. There was a crew. But, okay, we played the entire song Hypnotized by Big Papa himself, the Notorious B.I.G., and that song was 3 minutes and 41 seconds long. That was 3 minutes and 41 seconds of these people dancing not very well. That's long. Usually we'll play a song for a dance sequence or a fight sequence or a workout montage, and we never finish a song. We finish Hypnotized, and then I started, I think, Into Club by 50 Cent, or no, it was Just a Little Bit by 50 Cent. Okay. It was a 50 Cent song. So I finished a Biggie song and I started a 50 Cent song. All in that time they were doing this bad dancing
because they only had like a little under or over an hour of, I should have said an hour. They just had an hour's worth of film. I know Kirk Cameron can act because he was doing it before he was a psycho. So he can apparently act, but not write a full script. And he can't compose a film. Like, he could have made a story that told a whole story about somebody's life leading up to Christmas, but he wasn't clever enough. So he could have written this as a book. It would have made more sense. He tells. He doesn't shout. He just flat out tells this dude, this is why you're wrong. This is why I'm right. And this is why you need to start massaging me a little bit more.
Just a little bit.
Okay, here I think
a little bit of this, a little bit of that.
This is him talking to his wife, I believe. Because she's like, he's gone insane.
I wish she'd gotten a different hairstylist. I'm sorry. I'm sure she's a nice person. Her hair just looks awful.
Our Christmas traditions are so rich and so full, if only we had the eyes to see them.
So full.
It's time to step out of the car. Out of the quiet and safe place where we've been hiding.
Yeah, look at little Jesus
It's
with the snow
time
on
to
him.
tell everyone that every inch of this creation
Look at that cold-ass
belongs
baby.
to Jesus.
Every single inch. Every inch belongs to Jesus.
So you're out of the car. Are your eyes open?
No. Shut up. Go talk to your weird wife.
Symbols with
Yeah, and okay, pause. Just, he does. We mentioned the nutcrackers earlier. He's like, everything can be a symbol of Jesus. So Christian takes a nutcracker and like creeps it up on the nativity to symbolize the soldiers that King Herod sent forth because there was a prophecy about a new king. He's like, no, I'm the king. I'm the only king.
He just wanted to
And
scare
so-
baby Jesus.
Yeah, he sent soldiers out to kill. Fuck all those other babies. They all got killed, but not baby Jesus.
But Jesus, while being a baby, was still of God or God. So, what does it matter if couldn't he just go like and explode their ass or delete them?
I wish it would be like,
Delete!
like in Death Note. I wish it was like that Simpsons episode where Bart had the telekinetic powers.
He
And
probably
they were just like,
was.
oh, Jesus, it's so lovely to see you.
He probably was. He killed his best friend and then
He
he
smote
brought
a
him
fig
back.
tree.
And then he brought him back to life.
Yeah, okay, so I have to tell you my favorite Bible story. It's in one of the Gospels. I forget which one, but I swear it's in there. I saw it, I was randomly looking through one of my Gospels in the Bible, which, yes, I actually have a Bible. And Jesus is walking by. And I always picture that scene in A Clockwork Orange where Alex is walking down the riverway with his friends, and he's kind of thinking, I need to put them in their place. And Jesus looks at this fig tree, and he's like, I'm kind of hungry. I want something to eat. And the fig tree didn't have any fruit on it, and he zaps it and burns the tree to the ground. And he looks over at his friends. He's like, see what happens when you fuck with me? He didn't say that exactly, but it was like, this tree did not believe in the divinity of me, so this is what's going to happen. And they're like, okay, Jesus, we'll go get you some lunch. Jesus smites a fig tree. It's in the Bible. That and beating the money changers are my favorite Jesus stories. Petty Jesus.
I feel like that is an obvious extra extra piece that someone put in at some point. Because I think of it like a story. Like if you're reading Harry Potter and suddenly Harry does some shit that he never would have done, like I don't know, punched a muggle child for no reason or something, and then just walks about his day, you'd be like, that's not very Harry-like, is it? Like Jesus is this totally calm, cool hippie unless you're being abusive to others. And then he also happens to freak the fuck out at a tree.
Yeah, he was hungry. He was hangry.
See,
Jesus was hangry.
it is biblical. There's a fig tree, and we put trees in our house. Anyway.
So that every single thing points to Jesus.
Oh yeah, he like has it right up on
the nutcracker. So
Yeah,
the nutcracker's
he-
like, I'm gonna get you, baby Jesus.
We need to tell
Why?
new stories. We need to be bold. Remember those soldiers at the Nativity?
Yeah, we've already talked
Oh
about
my
that.
god, shut up, Cameron. Shut the fuck up. Kirk, shut the fuck up.
Your family and your friends.
There are a lot of slow-mos in this movie.
He had to slow-mo because he wouldn't shut the fuck up. She looks like she thinks he's gonna kill her.
You okay?
Honey, I've been a bit of a jerk
And he looks like he's gonna eat her.
Christmas season.
Yeah, you have.
You.
He pays for this giant
This is
house
so
that you're
much
having a
better.
stupid party in.
And this Christmas, I want to give you something I've been wanting to give you for a long time.
What do you got in mind, Big Papa?
No. That is some weird, like, Little House on the Prairie fetish
I've
thing
been
or
wanting
some
to give
shit.
you all my Christmas joy.
Like,
Let's burn the Yule log.
I want to give you this for a long time.
Yes,
like-
but
Okay,
So-
chef. What are you gonna give me?
Okay,
He was enveloped by the spirit of Chef.
Now, what happens in most stories at this point? I mean, if you were writing this story right now, what would you want to have happen?
Apparently.
The cliche kiss, right? But
The
if
Christian
we've
version
learned
of that.
one thing in all this, let's not forget that sometimes our heroes do the unexpected.
I went ahead and just organized a hip-hop dance crew that encompasses all the joy and gospel burst and excitement that I alone as one man just cannot express. No, really, I did. Hit it, DeAndre!
Pause. She thought she was going to get boned after the Christmas party. You're not getting boned, honey. Sorry.
In fact, his back's probably gonna be out of place after this.
Yeah, he can't do anything.
Kirk thinks he's fucking Scorsese or some shit. Like,
With the voiceovers?
yes,
Oh, God.
he voiceovers almost as much as Casino, which wasn't good. I don't know how music works. I've been fine with the rest of it, but I'm just gonna mute. But I'm gonna show a little bit of this dumbass fucking dance number. Oh, and by the way, of course, who's the DJ? DeAndre.
The black guy. You gotta have the black guy's DJ.
He's gotta be the one with all the pep and the one with all the music. Yeah, look at his face.
We're not gonna hear this awful
Look at
song.
him. Just, you can hear it. They directed him to do this.
And there's a guy doing the robot. A little bit.
He gave up.
And then they stopped. And then, what did you say that's like... It looks like...
This is a dance crew made up of, like, 40-year-old moms that are bored. And
They just came from their MLM, like, It Works LuLaRoe party. And now they have a dance troupe.
God.
Yeah, okay. It's
Okay.
bad. Stop.
I feel
Stop.
like, okay, and I feel like I need to clarify the DeAndre thing. Like, all my this sounds up. Like, I hang out with black dudes at work all day long. They don't fucking act like this. I'm sure there's a couple out there. There's also a couple dumbass white people that act like the way they're directing DeAndre. It just bothers me that they got one person of color and they're like, you need to be the most that you can be. Because we want to show that we're inclusive. Fuck you, Kirk Cameron. And fuck you, guy behind the camera. I can't remember his name who directed this.
Mr. Doan. I don't remember his first name. Darren Doan.
God, it's so infuriating.
Okay, and that's the movie.
Well, sorta. You can continue while I make sure there's nothing else in this.
I think that's everything.
Remember,
yeah.
6 minutes. No.
There are the outtakes were funny. Those are worth watching if you watch the movie. There's just a little more preaching from Kirk Cameron.
Okay.
Like, go ahead and have your big part. And like, there's a part of me. See, this is where I get sneaky. Like, yes, have a Christmas party, have presents, do all the things, but don't piss on me and tell me it's raining. Don't tell me all those things point to Jesus. If you are a Christian and you love Jesus, then do those things that show that you love Jesus and you want to follow what he's teaching. And have your Christmas tree. And have your presents. But don't say those things are the same thing.
I feel like all Jesus would really want is, like, you would do your prayer, and then you'd be like, thanks, bro. And then you'd slap hands, and then you would go out, and he'd be like, we're going to do some good today.
We're going to go feed some homeless
We're
people.
going to go
Yeah.
feed people. And make it a family event. Like, make it a thing. Like, bring your whole family. Do it. Like, that's totally cool. There are I've known plain Christians, I believe, would do that.
Yeah.
Probably do that. They are real Christians, and they don't nitpick and gripe and sometimes even the good ones do kind of say, oh, I can't say Merry Christmas. No, we're just saying be nice to other people and just accept that there are other holidays that happen around this time that other people participate in. So we're going to be inclusive, and you can't rule everything just because you've ruled everything for 2,000 years. You won, okay? But just because this is how you know you're the oppressor. If someone says, I want equality, and you're like, you piece of shit, you've been equal this whole time. You're the oppressor.
And with that, we want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas.
Watch Miracle on 34th Street to clear this of your mind.
Ah, yes, palate cleansers. What are our recommendations? You go first. I've got mine.
I have to remind myself. 'Cause
It's an anime.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's how I talk.
Can we take this Amazon Prime crap off? I'm tired of looking at DeAndre.
No.
Okay. And then talk about your recommendation.
So, my recommendation is Tokyo Godfathers. There. Executive producer, Kirk Cameron. Last thing you get to look at. Tokyo Godfathers is fucking amazing. Is it a series or a movie? No, it's a movie. I've never gotten to see it dubbed. I don't even know if there is a dub, which there should be. It is terrific. It's by Satoshi Kon, who does Perfect Blue, Paprika, and some other creepy, mind-blowing, altering stuff. I am amazed this man did a Christmas movie, but it's about a homeless triplet of a young teenage girl, a transgender woman, and an alcoholic who all have accidentally sort of latched onto each other. And they find a baby in, like, a dumpster. Like, and they spend their entire... And it's a very heartwarming, magical movie. Even though all of that sounds like... What? Like, it's amazing. And it's just them getting the baby back where it belongs, and there's actually something nice about the mix-up. It's not like, at least as far as I remember, it's not just like, oh, people are trash, and now this baby's gonna grow up homeless with these homeless people who seem very nice. But, watch it if you can find it. It's awesome.
So my movie is, I think, also on Amazon Prime. It's a little independent film made on a shoestring budget called Good Satan. It's really funny. And it's basically a South Park episode. It's not by South Park, so don't take that literally, but it's in that same kind of sense of humor. It
has a similar budget to this movie.
Yeah, but it's really funny.
It seems like it was a hobby for a bunch of comedians, so that's what makes it good.
We're two assholes who think we're comedians, and we started a podcast on no budget at all. We're using a $20 light that I bought off Amazon that I got today. And the most money we've spent is what AJ spent on this microphone. So it's basically a bunch of just comedians who made a movie called Good Satan. It's about Satan trying to be better. And God's in it and Jesus. It's very, very funny.
Fucking a goblin.
Yes.
It's so good. It's
funny.
It's just Satan trying to get back in God's good graces.
Yeah, he's trying to get back into heaven, which we all want to do, but some of us may not reach that goal.
That Satan is a better person and Christian than Kirk Cameron.
Yeah.
So, hey, if anybody out there, 7 sides of Kevin Bacon or whatever this thing, and like, if you know somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody that maybe knows Kirk, send this video to him.
Oh, God. I'm sure he's already... He'll just say we're, like, left-wing atheists, part of a vast conspiracy to give him a 0% on Rotten Tomatoes.
No, bro, your movie sucks.
Your movie sucks,
It was barely a movie. It's you talking over yourself while filming yourself, having conversations with a guy you made up, like God. And... I'm just kidding. Again, we're not atheists, so it's, whatever. We just think it's funny to say fucked up shit.
Yeah.
So, okay, that's...
Okay.
This isn't our last episode this month. Our next one is going to be our Christmas movies we like and we enjoy and want to see and give to the world. And
yeah, that'll be our Christmas special. So... Thank you those of you who joined us on our Twitch stream. You've been through the long haul. Thank you for watching us on YouTube. You can listen to us on Anchor, Spotify, and iTunes, and you can follow us on social media on Movie Pain or Pleasure Podcast.
We also have
Instagram.
We also have more episodes on YouTube than we have on here because this is like...
You mean on Twitch?
Yeah, on Twitch they last like a week, and even if they kept them all, we still have more on YouTube because we started there. So, watch our backlog. They're probably not... They're good, but they're probably... They don't look polished like this will barely look. But still, anyway.
It's fine. Join our cult. Be my victim. Have a Merry Christmas.
Follow.
Bye.
Bye. Crackers.